Today we're talking with Life Coach Jessica Johnston about overcoming limiting beliefs and what it looks like to be brave. Let's dig in. Hi and welcome. I'm here with Jessica. Jessica, thank you so much for being here and being the first official guest of Accidentally Brave. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So Jessica and I met at a virtual conference earlier this year, and we then joined a mastermind group together. So that's how we met. So yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, just to give people an idea of how amazing you are.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So I am a mindset coach who helps women who are just coming out of a toxic relationship and are just in that healing phase in their journey where they're just fresh out of it, and there's so many layers that they need to overcome and heal, and I help them with different tools and different methods to get them through that healing process and to live a more life full of freedom and self-love. And so that's what I do for my business. I am a mama to a 3-year-old who is sassy as hell.
We
And
have
she
that in common.
yeah,
Yes.
she keeps me busy. Yeah. And I have an amazing fiance who literally is holding down the fort while I build my business and follow my dreams. And I'm also a dog mama to a rescue pup who's ginormous, and I love him to death, but he's just as nuts as the rest of us.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So good. Busy time.
Yeah.
So are you in school to be a life coach, or you've gone to life coaching school?
Yeah, so I'm actually currently getting my certification. I will be graduating in early December.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
So, to you, what does it mean to be brave? Like, if you were to call someone brave, what does that look like?
Yeah, for me, the best way I describe being brave is ready to face and endure pain head on and doing scary things regardless of the fear, and being able to really overcome something so difficult and show such mental strength from it.
Yeah. Do you think that when you're in a situation that you have to have that strength, or do you feel like it's something that people dig deep down inside and find during whatever they're going through?
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Because for me, when I was going through my big brave moment, and something I look back on all the time is when I left my ex and my toxic relationship that I had with my daughter's biological father. And I was going through a lot of toxic and emotional abuse. And going through it, I wouldn't, looking back, I think building up to that point and making that decision to leave, definitely, because I didn't feel so brave at the time. I definitely didn't,
Yeah.
because I was very scared, and at that time, I didn't really know if I was making the right decision. But as soon as I made that decision, it just got really clear for me. And looking back now, it all just kind of fell into place and it all made sense.
Yeah. I've been in a very similar situation where I left a relationship that was not the best for either of us or our daughter. And
Mm.
like looking back after making that decision to leave, was there a time when you were like, yes, I'm moving forward, this is where I'm going? Like, is there a specific time, or do you think it just developed over time?
Yeah, I think I can definitely actually point or think of one time is when my daughter was only 2 weeks old, and my ex had said something really like just demeaning and really hurtful. And it's like a light bulb went off, and I realized that I I don't want to put myself through this anymore, and I don't want to be that example for my daughter for if I were to stay in this relationship and one day she were to think she could date someone and for them to treat her like that. That was such like a aha moment for me
Yeah.
that really I look back on all the time.
And oh my gosh, she was only 2 weeks old. Like, how,
Yeah.
what a vulnerable time, like, as a woman to step back or to step up and say,
Hmm.
this is not gonna work for
Yeah,
me and the kind of life we deserve to have.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the main lessons that you learned in that time, like about yourself?
Yeah, the biggest lesson I learned is to follow your gut and to realize your worth and get really clear on what you want. And I really learned that I can either settle for like a really mediocre life and settle for a toxic relationship and be unhappy, or I can really just push through that and push through that fear and make that decision that I'm worth it and that I'm worth having an amazing life.
Definitely. So when you were walking like those limiting beliefs of like working through the worthiness and like being enough, like what are some of the tools that you use to like pull yourself through that? Or like um resources, tools, what how did you that's such a tough place to be because you feel sometimes like it's never going to end. That's how I felt. It's like
Yeah.
where's the end of this tunnel? Um yeah, so what are some of the things that you did?
Yeah, like, and I'm not gonna lie, like every once in a while still I do get triggers. I think with the trauma that you experience going through a toxic and emotionally abusive relationship, I think it definitely takes a long span of counseling, life coaching, the tools, resources, all the things. But for me in particular, that really, really got me through things is journaling was huge for me. And I really had to unpack my limiting beliefs, and I really had to ask myself, what's at risk if I continue down this path? If I don't push through that fear, or if I just settle for less than I deserve, or when I was journaling after broke it off with the relationship, I had to really, because I had a lot of limiting beliefs and I didn't think I was worthy of love. Was not, I had like zero confidence. I had to really make a list of what were my beliefs of myself and what were put on me from my past relationship.
Yeah.
And I had to really get clear. And I did all kinds of like journal prompts and brain dumping. And that really started getting like my thoughts out. And then I was able to see them on paper. And then it started to get me on a better path and direction.
Yeah. So for those who are new to like self-development and like working on themselves and maybe they're looking
Mhm.
at exiting a relationship, when I know we've brought it up a couple of times, what is a limiting belief? How would you describe what it is?
Yeah, for what I believe a limiting belief to be is a thought that isn't necessarily true. It's just put on either from society, it's like put into your mind through some sort of other source. So it could be society, it could have been like a teacher, it could have been your
Gosh.
parents growing up,
Yeah.
yeah, like an ex, all the like it could have came from anywhere. So really digging deep on where it came from. And I actually had I I did something recently where I was digging deep with a limiting belief, um, and I realized it came from when I was bullied when I was little. And it's interesting when you start unpacking that because then you're able to trace it back to where it
Yeah,
came from.
exactly. I've done some unpacking and different things as well. And like, I always find it so helpful to owe it to bring those also to a counselor, somebody or someone
Mhm.
that's a neutral party, because they can also be like, well, the pattern could be XYZ.
Mhm.
So I find that super helpful too when I've unpacked some of my big like lit, lit, lit. Unlimiting beliefs. And I know like one of mine is when I left my relationship, I felt like I was never enough and like I was
Mhm.
never doing enough. But I also realized that that's been something that's kind of followed me almost my entire life.
Yes.
So which can you walk us through like maybe one of your unlimiting beliefs and like how you've kind of unpacked it?
Yeah. So for me, I can think about recently, I was really because I'm getting ready to launch like a new program and launch these new things. And with every new thing that you try, there's fear around it naturally, and the fear of failure. And I was getting those feelings coming up again because I'm trying something new, and you hear about imposter syndrome, and you kind of all those things come up when you're challenging yourself to do new things. And I had that belief of like, what if I fail? And I really had to, I caught that I could hear it replaying in my head. So I brought out my journal and I wrote it down, and I unpacked like where this was coming from, and like why do I have this fear of failure? And then, as I mentioned earlier, when I was unpacking and asking different questions, it led me to me being bullied, and the fear of failure, and the fear of, like you mentioned, Ashley, not being enough.
Yeah.
And there was kind of like two almost limiting beliefs. By unpacking, I was able to discover the other one. But something I personally do and I love doing is when I'm unpacking and I'm almost to the point where I'm like, I feel really good, and I have, because usually I'll do like a list of what the limiting belief is, and then I do like what is actually true, like what could be possible, like how can
So you
I,
take it on a piece of paper and like split
yeah,
it down the middle and then
yeah,
like write whatever your brain could be lying to you and then you
yeah,
rebuttal it.
yeah, yeah,
That's
like what,
amazing. Cool. Yeah.
yeah, like what, how can I switch this, like what could be possible instead.
Mhm.
And then when I'm at a point where I feel like I am at a place where I feel like I'm ready to release this belief, I actually burn it. So I'll write it on a little sticky and I'll throw it in a dumpster and I'll burn it up.
Safely, of course.
Yeah, safely.
Yeah, always. Safety first. So, give us a couple examples of some of the questions that you ask when you're unpacking something, because you said that that's something that you do. So, like, what are some of those examples of some of those questions that you ask?
Yeah, so as it's definitely like trying to figure out where this, I usually the first thing I'll ask is, where is this coming from? Is this from a parent, a teacher? I'll kind of try to unpack that a little bit and see where it was stemming from. Because when I can pinpoint the exact time that it happened, then I'm able to kind of like work my way back.
Yeah.
And I usually will ask questions like, what's at risk if you continue living this belief
Ooh, I
to
love
be
that.
true?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that usually is like one of the biggest questions I'll ask, because a lot will come up for me personally. And just from sharing that with others, I know a lot comes up with them as well.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, what's at risk? Because,
What's
and
that?
like you,
Yeah.
yeah, what's at risk if you continue down this path and believing in this belief? And I usually, well, I like to ask too, like, what's the worst that can happen if this belief is true?
Yeah.
And that's something I'll also get clear on too. That way I can see if what the worst case scenario is, and then I compare, like, is it really that bad?
Yeah.
Like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are some of the strategies. Um, there's a lot more questions, and and I go a lot more into depth with that too in my programming and everything. But those are two of the bigger questions I usually will ask myself. And I usually don't put too much pressure. Like I try to let it flow. And depending what comes up, I'll tweak the questions a little bit.
Yeah. Those are great tips. I know for myself, I've dealt with a lot of anxiety as well. And I've kept a journal, and every
Hmm.
time that a thought or something's coming, I've written the time of day, what
Hmm.
feeling is coming through, and then like what I was doing and who I was with.
Yes.
And like I've been able to pinpoint that my anxiety comes through in like three different ways.
Hmm.
I'm either upset or angry, and then another one is lonely,
Hmm.
or I'm feeling depressed, which they're different,
Yeah.
but like I've pinpointed those for myself, and I've like made a list of things. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling angry, I need to like go for a walk, or I need
Hmm.
to do be creative. But like those are all great things to like pinpoint, okay, like yes, this is where, yeah,
Yeah.
and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Great.
that's a great thought you brought up too, is we need to sometimes ask ourselves questions like that. Like, where is it showing up in my body? What emotions am I feeling around
Oh,
this?
my counselor always asks me that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to allow yourself to get deep sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And like one of my counselors gave me a feelings wheel. I
Yeah.
don't know if you, yeah, I
Yeah.
love it
I
because
love
I'd
it.
be like, I'm sad. And she's like, dig a little bit deeper. Like,
Hmm.
why are you sad? And I'm like, meh. I would
Yeah.
always, yeah. So if you haven't tried a feelings wheel or seen one, you can Google it, and
Hmm.
they're great. So they have like happy, sad, angry, but then it goes into like deeper feelings of
Yes.
being like misunderstood or frustrated or devalued or um, different stuff. So that's a
Hmm.
great tool too if you're having, I know myself, I have a hard time communicating exactly how I'm feeling. It's taking me a lot of practice. So if I'm able to tell somebody, not I'm just mad, I could be frustrated because I feel devalued. Like, yeah, that's been huge.
Yeah. Rather than like the surface level emotions, like I'm sad, I'm mad,
Yeah,
I'm happy. There's so many underlying emotions that we don't realize until, yeah, that we look at the emotions wheel.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if someone is sitting right now and they're contemplating like leaving a relationship, or they're on the brink of making a brave move, or what you said earlier, having a brave
Mhm.
moment, I love that.
Mhm.
What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think I would, like, what I really decided, and it was like a quick moment where I was like, I had my bags, I had my 2-week-old baby. I was like, I'm out of here. But leading up, like I could sense that I was getting closer and closer to like that breaking point. So what I would suggest for someone if they are in a toxic relationship is to really and I feel like I'm a broken record because I'm such big about like journaling and lists, and this is like how I've done the majority of my healing. But what I literally did is when I would, because sometimes you try to talk yourself out of leaving a relationship, and you focus on like the one really good thing they did when there's so many like red flags and other things that aren't toxic and not good for you. So what I did towards the end is I made a list of all the things that I knew I deserved better and that he was like the actions he was doing. And then I made a list of what I do deserve. So, what I expect in a relationship, what I value in a relationship, what like my ideal relationship, what would it look like? And when I compared the two, it was nothing alike.
Not even close. Yeah. Mine
Yeah,
wouldn't
not
have
even
been
the same planet.
close. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great tip. Um, and I just want to say, like, for the record, like, if you feel like you're unsafe in leaving your relationship,
Mhm.
because some can be so hard to leave. If you are scared, please reach out, find the proper help if you are feeling unsafe so that you can leave and be safe.
Mhm.
I think that's really important to point out too, because every relationship is different. Everybody
Yeah.
deals with things in different ways. So I just want to put that out there too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Safety is number one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-being is
Definitely.
number one. Yeah. So for you, what's been the biggest gain? Like, we always talk about the fear and we talk about like the risk of being brave. What's been the absolute biggest like reward now that you've kind of like you've come through it and like you've made your
Mhm.
way through it? What's been that treasure for you?
Oh gosh. Yeah, because like it's so amazing when you do come through it because when I was in the thick of it, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna survive this.
Yeah.
And like I know women who are going through it right now are thinking the same thing. But there is like now being on the other side, and I am now engaged to someone who is literally everything I ever imagined and more.
Your
And
whole list from before.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And I literally manifested this man into existence. And I looking back and now like the healing and the struggle I had to go through to get to where I am now was so worth it because I found I'm so in love with the man of my dreams. I have a beautiful daughter, and now I'm helping women overcome the same things that I was exactly where they were, or
Yeah.
sorry, are now where I was back then. And to go first full circle and being able to help women with the healing way faster than I experienced because I did it all by myself and I literally had no idea what I was doing. And it took me way longer to get through it. And now I get to help women with the tools and like the strategies I used,
Yeah.
they can use it
Yeah.
themselves. And I love how full circle it came.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and I always feel like sometimes I've spoke to women and they are in that really tough spot where they
Hmm.
can't they can't even see where the tunnel is, let alone the light at the end of the tunnel. And they are asking like, well, how long is it going to take to get from
Hmm.
point A to point B?
Yeah.
And it's so different for everybody because I'm thinking like on my own journey, it took a solid 2 years, I would say, to like move my way through it. So no matter where you are, like just start making tiny steps towards the tunnel,
Right.
towards the end of the tunnel. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So where can people find you to work with you? Tell us a little bit about what you have going on.
Yeah, so I have my IG. My Instagram is at Jessica Johnston Mindset. I do have my Facebook group called Toxic Detox. So this, I have created a community for women to come together and share experiences, heal, build confidence and self-love, learn tools and tips, journaling, all the things. um, because this is something I wish I had when I was going through my healing. And I just really, I know I don't want anyone to go through this alone. And that's really what I wanted to create, is a safe space for women who are going through toxic relationships and healing, because it is a really, like you mentioned, Ashley, when you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's very like scary and lonely. And I truly believe that you need a community to get you through the trauma and the healing. And yeah, in the next couple months, I'm going to be creating some journal prompts and launching that. So that will be through my Facebook group, and it will be on my Instagram account as well. And I do have, yeah, a couple of one-on-one coaching spots left for the remainder of the year. So.
That's amazing. You're going to do such great stuff, Jessica. I'm so honored to be able to watch you grow, even through like the few months that we've known each other. Like the growth has been so crazy and so good, and I'm so excited for women to get connected with you. So thank you so much for coming on and spending your evening with us. And I have a few questions, rapid fire, just fun questions. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite book right now?
Lori Harder, Tribe Called Bliss.
And what is your favorite movie right now?
The Notebook.
Always a classic. And what is your go-to drink?
Coffee for sure.
Coffee, yeah. Cheers. And what is your last Amazon purchase?
Oh gosh. It definitely was a book of some sort. I order like 5 books at a time every time.
It was a list of books. Amazing. Yeah. So I will put links to your groups and your IG handle in the description. And thank you so much for being our first guest on Accidentally Brave.
Thank you so much.